Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss the current market situation, where this correction can last, and whether growth will continue at all. So, let's start with the fact that in the previous video, I warned everyone about a potential correction. An aggressive short stop for the last high was also considered here, and the correction was indeed quite logical. We were in a resistance zone, while from below, we had a huge amount of liquidity floors and an untested support zone. Therefore, there is no need to be surprised that the price has fallen, and it is important to understand what may happen next. In my understanding, this correction is not finished yet. At the moment, we have come to level 26,373. There is no strong support zone here. The minimum zone was here, but we plunged too much here, while leaving the equalizer here, which is very often collected. Therefore, Bitcoin is likely to continue the correction. At the moment, this decline, in my understanding, is also a correction, which means that growth should continue. And the target for this correction is in this support zone, that is, at least $26,000. In my opinion, Bitcoin should test as a result of the current correction. Perhaps this will not happen. The growth will continue, but I say what I think and what is clearly visible here from the point of view of technical analysis. From above, you can also mark this problem area, and it is logical that we will also most likely test it. And perhaps it is from this zone that the downward movement can continue. And our first goal is the most conservative. It is the removal of these loyalties, that is 26,375. Well, ideally, come to the $26,000 zone where you can look closely at positions with quite ambitious goals. Because I believe that this growth is also not over. That is, all this momentum from 25,000 is likely to go above these stops, that is, above the level of 28,129. And here, I will remind you about the medium-term goal of 28,600. So far, I'm sticking to this scenario, that is where Bitcoin will allow the majority of market participants to exit without loss. In principle, there have already been such opportunities. I personally had a purchase of 27,800, despite the fact that the purchase was still made at 25,000. And in fact, I was already in the black, but I want to keep it up to 28,600, there to make a decision. And already from the level of 28,600, it is likely that we can get a continuation of the decline. It's too early to talk about it, but the fact that we left such suspicious loy here also suggests that most likely we will go down here again, that is, below the level of 24,700. And the dollar index also suggests this. We will move on to it a little later. Accordingly, summing up on Bitcoin, it is logical to expect the continuation of this correction and the removal of these loyalties. After reaching this zone, there is a potential short here, but there is a potential position in this zone at current prices. I would not consider any positions, and it is better to wait for either the removal of these layers or the arrival in this zone. Next, let's look at the dollar index. Here again, there is an uncertain situation, potential reversal patterns, but we already know what constantly breaks them. So here we are just watching and waiting for more concrete confirmations at the moment. Again, there are prerequisites for a reversal. There is a potential reversal pattern here, but we will not draw conclusions based on this. But in the medium term, I also noted in the last video that there is quite an obvious goal here. This is 108 points, and it is this zone that suggests that Bitcoin can get a very strong decline, below the level of 24,700, so you need to be prepared for this. Next, let's move on to altcoin. Let's start with the AIM coin, because it was recently dumped, and I personally made a sale of the position that I bought off here, which I wrote about in the Telegram channel. And in my understanding, such pumps must be used in the current market situation, because we see that some altcoins really show a pump when the entire market is standing or falling. And if you have a good competent portfolio, then you can safely pour one coin into another. For example, the coin we have been pumping, either you go to the USDT, wait for a correction, or you immediately buy another altcoin for the money earned with this sale. And specifically, if you sold it on this pump, you can pour it into the Aptos coin, because the graph is very similar. Here, we also came to the medium-term support zone and received a pump. If you look at Aptos, then first of all, there is a similar graph. Secondly, we are also in the medium-term support zone, and we have not received strong growth yet. At the same time, there is a goal for growth at 6.46, and I am sure that a similar pump will also happen on the Aptos coin in the near future. If we go back to the X, then this tool had the same conservative goal at 0.68. This is where we jumped. Let's go a little higher. On the Bigot exchange, by the way, the price was 0.82 at the peak. I don't know what this is related to, but I managed to sell it at this price. Personally, I have not yet poured into any coin, because my goal now is to release the stem coins in case of a deeper drawdown, because my position is quite large, and the drawdown at the moment is also significant. But specifically for AM, the situation is quite good due to this pump, and if such a pump happens on other altcoins, you need to use it. A similar situation also exists on the Link coin. In this zone, I also remind you that I made a purchase of the volume that I sold here, and I sold the same volume near this level by 6.95. If the Link gets a decrease, perhaps I will return from it, but in general, I would like to see the same growth to 9 and 6 and calmly exit this tool. But I am calmly ready to wait if the instrument continues to adjust, and I am as confident as possible in it. Therefore, if you see that some altcoin has been pumped when everything is in place, in my understanding, it is definitely better to fix part of the position and wait for either a correction or to overflow into another altcoin. Next, let's move on to Kefir. And here, in the video before last, I also noted that after removing this high right at the moment, the situation was quite sharp and highlighted the goal of at least 1,640 for correction. That is, the ether looked like hell. This is the goal we have come to at the moment. And here is a good swing pattern that can start a good correction. In other words, the specific ether now looks bearish because we have removed an important hype and did not go higher. In other words, we do not see continued growth with imbalances and so on. On the contrary, immediately decrease after the removal of this hype, and now we can count on a local correction. Is it worth trying a short position here, again with minimal risk, with a stop for this level? But on the higher time frames, everything looks like a correction based on this potential pattern. As a result, the correction was much stronger, and the concrete ether has already come to the medium-term support zone, which is similar to Bitcoin at $26,000. That is, in fact, Ether has already fulfilled the goal that Bitcoin should fulfill. And here the situation is already a little unclear. That is, either Bitcoin will also go to this goal and the Ether rolls even stronger, or Bitcoin will not go to this goal, since the Ether has already done it, and growth can begin from these marks. That is, if we abstract from Bitcoin and forget about the goal of $26,000, then the Ether looks to grow from about the current levels. Perhaps there will be another fracture. By the way, I would keep an eye on him. That is, if we see a fracture, a sharp payback is also quite logical. A long position with a stop for a new claw, but already now, we have tested this imbalance, and, in fact, it is logical to see growth here. I would set the minimum target here. That's 1,607 if you take the long after the fracture, and it is desirable, of course, to go higher too, to remove all these stops. And the goal for the broadcast is global at the moment. This is $1,700. That is similar to Bitcoin for 28,600. What will happen next? It's not clear yet, but I'm more inclined to believe that there will be a good decline, perhaps with the update of this law, but we will not draw conclusions yet. Let's set up hypotheses and observe them. Next, let's move on to the Atom coin. This tool also showed good growth. The conservative goal was here, it is 7.1, but we went much higher, and the next target for the Atom coin is here. That's 8.94. Now there are prerequisites for a short. There is a good reversal pattern, but at the same time, taking into account the fact that Bitcoin showed a fairly strong correction, the Atom practically did not roll away in any way. Therefore, I would not consider any positions here, only purchases on the spot. Next, let's look at Solana. Locally, it also looks like a decline. There is a specifically confirmed reversal pattern here, and it is likely that Solana will go to update the liquidity data at 1859. Will the growth continue? I think so, because there is an open goal of 22.3, which has not been achieved. I believe that this is where Solana should definitely come, even if a very strong drain is planned specifically for this instrument, and in general, for the entire market. Well, in the end, let's pay attention to the dot coin. So far, there are no prerequisites for a strong growth from the current levels. Quite suspicious law that can be updated, but at the same time, the goal from above is here. This is 4.4. I think we should come here as well. That is, a potential pump up to these values is also quite likely on the dot coin, but from what marks it is not clear. Therefore, this tool can be safely averaged by sweat or bought every day. It doesn't matter. Until we reach this goal at least, then it will be possible to earn a short term here and leave part of the position for a long time, because the prices are in any case quite good, and accordingly, for long-term investments, I would single out a goal of $6. This video comes to an end. Do not forget to subscribe to the Telegram channel. Thank you all for watching.